Welcome to my hometown. There are 3 words that are usually used to describe this town: charming, quaint, and sleepy. First-time visitors look around the town and inevitably say, "My, this is the most charming town." And I think you could see why. Repeat visitors, however, revise their initial assessment from charming to quaint. Quaint better describes the village once you realize that there's really nothing to do here. Stores close early. Many don't open on Sunday, and basically they roll up the sidewalks by 6 p.m. Then the town pretty much goes to sleep, which leads us to the 3rd word that's usually used to describe this town: sleepy. That's how longtime residents like me think of this place, because most of us just come here to sleep. This is the most exciting thing that usually happens here. Once every few hours, the commuter train rolls into the station. The gates descend and traffic, if there is any, comes to a temporary halt. And sometimes people wander off the train, and if they're visiting for the first time, they'll look around and say, "My, this is the most charming village." But it wasn't so charming last year when the local dogs started disappearing. The epidemic of lost dog posters signaled that something out of the ordinary was happening here, and even the most sleepy-headed of the residents of this sleepy town took notice. Dogs were being snatched out of yards, out of homes, out of cars, and off the roads. Neighboring villages had occasional cat burglaries, but we were the only town hit by a string of actual dog burglaries. The local police force, unaccustomed to any real crime, was baffled and helpless. Help was brought in on the county and state levels. Massive rewards were offered. Local citizens' patrols of dog-loving vigilantes were organized. The local residents of this sleepy town finally woke up, but despite their best efforts, the cunning dog napper continued to terrorize the town. People began keeping their dogs under lock and key and only took them out for the briefest of walks. This dog park was once a lively and popular place, but then it became lonely and empty, except for this monument to the missing dogs. This fallen tree seemed to symbolize the fallen spirits of the local dog-loving population. The dog napper's reign of terror persisted for many months, through the dog days of summer and well into the autumn rainy season. Then the hurricane hit and knocked out power for several days. Without electricity, dogs were freed from the confines of their invisible fences and began wandering away from home and into the clutches of the evil dog napper. Eventually, the posters became as faded as the hopes of the dog owners, who were finally admitting to themselves that they'd never see their precious pooches again. Then at last, a break in the case. One evening, a car got stopped at the railroad crossing. A panic-stricken dog was barking inside it. A suspicious pedestrian wrote down the license plate number, which led police to this lonely house on the outskirts of town. Police searched the house and grounds, and then they made a grisly discovery in this dense patch of bamboo. There, hidden from the prying eyes of the outside world, they found the bones and remains of the dogs. They had been horribly tortured, killed, dismembered, and dumped in this shady bamboo forest by the home's owner. Many people believe that bamboo plants are trees. However, bamboo is actually a member of the grass family. Versatile and evergreen, bamboo has inspired poets, artists, and craftsmen throughout the centuries with its unique and enchanting qualities. Wispy yet durable, gentle yet strong. And in this part of the country, bamboo, once planted, becomes quite invasive, easily taking over large tracts of land with its thick and shady growth. The perfect place to hide one's sins and secrets. Is that why this home's owner planted the bamboo to begin with? And who was he? Turns out he had once been a vice president at a dog food company. But dogs were getting sick from the food, and the man lost his job, and he couldn't find another one because a middle-aged, middle-level executive is the most unemployable of creatures. He got so despondent, he eventually snapped and decided to get revenge on man's best friend, beginning with the dogs that lived in his own charming, quaint, sleepy hometown. But that's all past history now. Our town has had time to heal. The citizens' patrols have been disbanded. The residents are no longer vigilant, and the local police force has reverted to its old, ineffectual ways. Which is a good thing for me because, well, you see that office there? That's where I used to work. I was the manager in charge of importing these lighters from China. But sales were low, and I got laid off. And I'm still out of a job, because a middle-aged, middle-level executive is the most unemployable of creatures. But I'll get my revenge very soon. I'll come here on a quiet night with some gasoline and one of these lighters and, well, you get the idea. You see, I might be totally despondent, but I've retained a spark of irony.